YouTubers, you know what time it is. Mike Martin's here, Mike Martin's channel, bringing you another very special edition of Trends in the Housing Market. Yes, what is happening in the housing market all over the English-speaking world? It looks like there is an uptick in pricing in some cities. It looks like some cities are falling. It looks like some cities are in collapse. It looks like, let me roll up my sleeves here so I can get down to work with you guys. Today is February 8th, 2018. We got open lines 250-800-1489. And we got a lot of people that are going to be watching this on a rerun. A lot of people tell me they can't catch the show. And they can't catch the show, so they watch it on rerun. A lot of people are watching this transmission at work. And I just want to send a shout out to my boy Luke, who just signed into the comment section. Comment section is going to be really busy tonight. We have open lines tonight. I want to keep it PG. We got our IP tracer up if people want to call in and start bullying us, or, you know what I mean. If anybody wants to, call in and crank call and stuff. I don't mind the crank call once in a while, but when things start getting offensive, it starts getting really bad when, And anyways, so today's February 8th, 2018, and we are less than a month and a half away from finding out Q1 numbers. What is going to happen in Q1 of 2018? I am very excited and stoked to find out. I hope Better Dwelling weighs in. I've been asking Better Dwelling. Every video I make, we need a good Q1 report to read on our show first week of March to find out what is happening with this housing crisis. And I got the open lines here. We're good to go. I want to kick off, before I kick off the show, I want to talk about the rally for affordable housing action. It's in Vancouver. And Vancouver is one of the top 15 cities that we usually discuss in the English-speaking world that is under this massive affordability crisis. And these people aren't asking for free homes. If you work 3 jobs and you're constantly working and you can't even afford to buy your own little place or a big place or whatever your heart desires, we got ourselves a little bit of a problem. You know what I'm saying? Hope you know what I'm saying. Anyways, so Rally for Affordable Housing Action is going to be on Sunday, February 18th at 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. There's going to be a march at Jack Pooley Plaza, 1085 Canada Place, Vancouver, British Columbia. So get down there if you can. It's going to be an event. There's going to be a couple of speakers there. And it talks about here, it says here in the details of the thing. I'll leave a link below in the comments section so you guys can find the event if you want to join it. It's going to be at the Jack Pooley Center there in downtown Vancouver. I'll leave a link below for you guys for the Rally for Affordable Housing. So let's see what they got going on here. Vancouver's housing crisis is rapidly spread through the province and its effects are devastating. The places we love and call home are almost unrecognizable. Unregulated global capital and widespread of real estate speculation have driven up housing prices and driven out long-time residents. Empty houses dot our landscapes while homeless levels continue to climb. Whistleblowers pointing to corruption and emerge almost daily. Enough is enough. All of this has to change. So, like I said, it's going to be Sunday, February 18, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Rally for Affordable Housing. I invite you guys all to join this. If you're in the downtown Lower Mainland in Vancouver, it's going to be a good one to see. It's going to be a good one to be a part of. It's a good one to understand what is going on. It's a peaceful demonstration. People want to be heard. Now people get heard through social media, which is a good thing. At least you're not completely blacked out. But people want to be heard. So this is it here. It's right here. Affordability Action Hub. They have a page here. A friend of mine likes this, actually, over here. I got a buddy of mine on this page that actually likes this page. And this man is a very nice man. He's a really, really good friend of mine. He's from, he's not from Trinidad. He's not from Jamaica. I think he's from Antigua. Don't kill me, Nova, if I'm wrong, but I think he's from Antigua. Very good friend of mine. Had him over my house a couple of times to play some games and hang out. and talk business. So this is the affordability action. This is what they're talking about here. And don't forget to join the rally in downtown Vancouver. And I got the article that was posted about them by ThinkPol. Somebody saying, yo, Mike, next time I recommend that you set a reminder an hour before the show on YouTube so more people know when it's starting. Yeah, I usually do it during the day, letting people know not to forget to tune in at 7 p.m. Pacific, Tijuana time, LA County time, Vancouver time. And a lot of people catch this show on rerun. A lot of people watch this show the next day at work. There's a lot of real estate agents watching it. There's a lot of speculators watching it. There's a lot of people watching it, trying to see what's going to make or break in the English-speaking world. And maybe an hour before I could start doing things, I could start doing a little bit more discussion on what's happening an hour or two before. But anyways, this is from ThinkPol. This is from this rally here. And this is the article that was written on February 6, 2018. Vancouverites set to take the streets demanding action on housing, crackdown on law breaking in real estate. So a lot of people are a lot of people are very upset. I got upset. I couldn't make the change. I'm making videos. We're talking. We're discussing. We have dialogue. I'm trying my best, you know what I'm saying, to get the word out. I left the city. I wanted to have kids. I'm going to be 40 this year. 40 years old, yes, the big 40. And I want to have kids. And it's really hard to lay roots when you're, you know, in cramped accommodations. You could barely move around. You're knocking into things. It's just so frustrating. Anyways, Vancouverites are getting ready to take the streets, demanding the province to act on housing and crack down on rampant speculation and criminal activity plunging into the regional real estate market. The first Rally for Affordable Housing Action, again, those are the guys organizing this, by the umbrella group Affordability Action Hub is scheduled for Sunday, February 18, 2 days before Premier John Horgan and Finance Minister James will unveil the much anticipated budget. The constituent member of the hub included housing action for local taxpayers, HALT, Richmond's Changing Neighborhoods, PETS, OKBC, and Vancouver is Falling, VIF. Unregulated global capital and a widespread of real estate speculation have driven up housing prices and driven out long-time residents. I'm one of them. I lived in Vancouver for, I think it was, yeah, about 10 years, because I owned my store. I owned my store in downtown Vancouver. If you go back to my older videos, a big store, hired people, had a great thing going, and very impressive income. Believe it or not, I just couldn't make headway in Vancouver. I had to leave, and it's not just me. If you look at my older videos, like a couple of weeks ago or 2 months ago, 7 of the 10 people living on my street in this cul-de-sac where I live are from Vancouver. They left the city. So let's continue with the article. Sorry about the interruption there. Residents across the Lower Mainland and beyond need to pressure government to ensure housing is accessible for residents of all income levels, they added. We are concerned. Where was I? Sorry, my son just walked in the room here. He's bringing some Lego. Okay, we are concerned citizens from a diverse background working together to stop the housing affordability crisis from spreading. And we call upon everyone affected to join us. The organizers want people of all income levels, ages, backgrounds to come together to send a strong message to the government that housing action is long overdue. So what happened is a lot of institutions are breaking the rules when it comes to lending practices, not checking backgrounds. Because I know that if I went into an institution and tried to buy a place in cash, it becomes a problem. It becomes a big problem for me. And it would be a big problem. Because I live in Canada, where did I get this money? You know what I'm saying? And that is one, obstacle I had to overcome when I bought my house here. I basically used a down payment I had saving in Vancouver to buy my house free and clear. But the problem is, it was a lot of questions because, like, I'm not supposed to have money, apparently, or I'm not supposed to have a savings, apparently. So together we will tell the government. So this is back to the article, guys, for radio listeners and people picking us up on podcast. I wanted to apologize for that. I keep going between article and talking. I had someone complain the other day to me that they don't know whether I'm talking or reading the article because they're not watching the video, they're listening to it. Okay, comment sections are rolling. So Andrea is saying, I feel bad for Vancouver citizens. I have family there and they are really struggling to get by. Their own government sold them out to foreigners. Prices have to drop eventually. It's unsustainable. What happens is, I think it's going to be, if it doesn't drop or there's not a crash, you're going to see it'll become a playground for the rich. And not famous. I mean, no. It's going to be a playground for the rich. So let's keep moving on here. Meanwhile, in response to the harsh criticism on social media, Housing Minister Selena Robertson reassured British Columbians that action was just around the corner. We have been modeling various ways to address the speculation, transparency, and foreign capital. She said, we believe that it is important to get right, so this is needed to be done. Stay tuned with the budget later this month. The organizers of the rally are currently finalizing the venue for the event. So I am helping these guys out, getting the word out there for these guys. This organization seems legit, Rally for Affordable Housing Action, and I stand behind them. Come on. Adeush. So it's my son paying me a visit, and that's why I moved to the house. That's why I bought a house. My son needs his room. My daughter needs her room. The kids need a place. Oh, someone's calling in. Hello, you're live.
Oh, hey, Mike. It's Christina calling in from the Affordability Action Hub.
Oh, yes. How you doing? I was hoping you would call in because I was speaking to another one of your counterparts in the email, and he said that you would be calling in.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I'd be able to figure it out, but I did. So I've learned a lot this week in technology. I'm pretty proud of myself.
Good. So, talk. What's going on?
Okay, so what's going on? So this whole thing started under the Vancouver is Falling Facebook page. I don't know if people on your show, I'm sure a lot of them are familiar with it. It seems like you have a lot of talks about housing.
That's all we talk about is housing, mainly. My main I've been talking about housing for 6 years.
Yeah, so I mean, I hope that they're familiar with Vancouver is Falling because it's a really, it's a great page, well moderated. It's taken care of by Brad Barrett and a couple other people, and they are very knowledgeable. So are the people following it. It's actually, if there's any kind of abuses or disrespect going on, it's cautioned and frowned upon. So I like that about that, and I've been following that page, I think, pretty much since it's up and running, and I actually posted something. I posted a sort of my thought stream on what we could do about housing affordability, and asked for comments on that because I was heading to one of the province strategy meetings that one of the ministers was sitting on, Shane Simpson, just like maybe not even 2 weeks ago that I went to that, and a lot of people commented, and then we all got chatting, and then we sort of one person said, look, what are we going to do? We always talk about this, but what are we going to do about it? So
okay, slow down a bit. You're talking really fast here. And
sorry.
Okay, no, don't be sorry. I know you're from Vancouver. You want to apologize, but don't be sorry, okay? So let's so.
But we're still very sorry here too.
So let's get to the. So what's the name of the page called? The main page you were talking about? Sorry, Falling Vancouver or?
Vancouver is Falling is where it started. Now we started our own page, and it's called Affordability Action Hub.
I have that one up right now on the screen.
Okay, great. Yeah, so that budded from the Vancouver is Falling page. So we named it the Affordability Action Hub because we decided we want action, we want it on affordability, and we made it a hub because we really want to act as an umbrella organization to pull all like-minded groups together to provide strength in numbers, to really make sure that our voice is unified and heard by the government to deal with these problems that we're all facing. It started in Vancouver for sure, but the ripple effect has become a tsunami, we feel like, and it's spreading through, all Metro Vancouver, the suburbs, and the large pockets, like the Okanagan and...
Oh yeah, Okanagan's been hit. I read an article last week about the Okanagan and what's been happening. How the whole Okanagan is getting bought out by Vancouverites.
Yep.
That left Vancouver. I personally left Vancouver myself. I don't know if you've seen my Living the Dream series. I left a year ago, 3 days ago.
Wow.
So it's been my 1 year anniversary that I've been living here in Merritt, British Columbia. And I needed a place for my family. I just needed rooms for my kids. I needed to lay proper roots. And I couldn't do it in Vancouver. And I had a really very impressive income. And I just couldn't make it. I just couldn't make headway.
I understand. And the Okanagan had been my sort of backup plan, but, it's now that's been squashed. I really don't know what I'll do if I lose my rent right now, and I worry because I've been here for 5 years, and the value has gone from $380,000, $50,000 in 5 years in the place that I'm in. I have 2 dogs. I don't have kids, but I have 2 dogs, and it's really hard to find a place with pets. And the rent that I have is decent, although it has been raised illegally twice, $100 each time, which is more than the allowed amount. But I don't dare say anything because I don't want to lose my thing. I'm insecure.
So they raised your rent $100 every time?
Well, the last 2 years, yeah.
So every time it's up for renewal, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, every year you're allowed to raise the rent, but not by that much. So they've gone well beyond it. I think the first year they would have been allowed like $23 or something.
Well,
it would have been marginally more than that.
That's horrible. So tell us more about this rally. I got it open here. It is going to be people listening on the radio that can't see this, they're listening to this through, I don't know, some other means that you are apparently listening to. It is on February 18th from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the Rally for Affordable Housing. It is the Rally for Affordable Housing Action on Sunday, February 18th, 2 to 5 p.m. at the Jack Pooley Plaza, 1085 Canada Place, Vancouver, British Columbia. Because I get a lot of people watching this on Rewind. Nobody watches this thing live for some reason because of our time difference or whatever the case is. So what's been happening is a lot of people watch it on Rewind. So they will get a up-to-date prognosis on what's going on with this and how it's coming together. You know what I'm saying? So let me see. Is this weekend? No, it's not.
Pardon me?
This is going to be on this... we got 2 weekends to prepare for this.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, this has been thrown together very, very quickly. I mean, it's been 6 days since our group met.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. Continue.
Okay. Yeah, I just had to cut out a little bit. It's been 6 days since we first met. We've come a long way since then, and things are moving rapidly. We have combined forces with the BCGEU, which is an enormous positive step for us. We know that they came out with their own housing strategy recently, and they were very keen to join on. We have partnered with Pets OK BC, who has quite a nice 10,000-something following on Facebook, and they will be at the rally and speaking as well as the BCGEU member. And we have also joined with HALT, and we have many more in the wings right now. Our speakers include a member from each of those groups to represent our collective. We'll have David Chen speaking, and we have a Green Party member, a provincial council member that is going to speak. His name is Sat Harwood. So I just got that confirmed today. We have they have made the MLAs, the 3 Green MLAs, aware of us, and that they expect a lot of perhaps a statement. So I'm hoping they may change their mind and send an MLA, but I know that it's a short notice for them as well, and they have prior commitments. But I'm hoping one of them might be at the Chinese New Year's parade. We have timed it so that we're half an hour after that finishes. People want to come, they will make it there, and also to make sure that they enjoyed their celebration without interruption from ours. Want them to have fun.
Yes, I hear that. So what's happened? So what's happened in Vancouver? I haven't been back in about since I sold my. I used to own a pretty big retail store there in downtown by Stadium. Since I sold my store, I've never went back. I haven't been back in about 5 months now. What's changed in Vancouver in the last 5 months that you know?
Oh, if you would go back now, you really would have a hard time getting somebody to work for you. We're finding that the stores and the sort of lower income, like jobs, that kind of thing, it's really difficult to fill because people can't afford to live there now, so they're having to spread out into the suburbs. People are actually closing down. Restaurants are closing down like a few nights a week. They don't have the staff for them, or they're closing down altogether. And the other thing, business-wise, is the property tax increases. Really, there's just, I don't think there's been any thought to it. It should be built to a business income rather than just where they're situated and the property values, because aren't staying afloat unless they're a really big store, and even some of those are suffering. So downtown on Robson Street a while back, and I just flew there, and now it's so quiet, but it's just kind of sad, and the story after story, and certainly you see it yourself. I spent a weekend in the Hyatt at a nursing convention. That's what I do, that I get paid for.
Mm-hmm.
But I was there and looking around at the actual residential kind of building, and the blackout, it looks like a blackout. Where are the people? And it's depressing. Like, I grew up, in the Lower Mainland my whole life. I've been here looking around.
I had somebody mention the other day, someone sent me a video on Facebook actually about how basically, sorry, I just got my son here. He's juggling between parenthood and housing crisis, right? But I had somebody send me a video on Facebook with the video of Robson Street and Granville, a couple other streets, just completely like closed down and not closed down, but just bare. And I read an article about 2 weeks ago on trends in the housing market about the big cities. There's no more density in the big cities because everyone's leaving.
And the fallout is real. I mean, I live in the suburbs. I have invested in Vancouver, sort of identifying as a Vancouverite, living somewhere near there my whole life. But in the suburbs, I can tell you, as I told you about, the rental home I'm in right now, $380,000, $750,000 for 5 years. I mean, it's just gone through the roof, and we're starting to see those effects here too. And I told you I work as a nurse. I work as an emergency room psychiatric nurse. So, in the last 2 years, I've never seen this before in my career, but in the last 2 years, I'm getting families living in their car coming in and somebody's suicidal, or they've had a huge argument because of the stresses that they're under, and they want to give up their kids for somebody to take care of, and and this is the suburbs. Like, this is in near where I live, and that is it's just gone beyond control here, and it's really it's shocking to me still that this was allowed to happen. That the greed and
well, they had to let it happen, and there's a reason why. There's a reason why they had to let it happen, because our economy is based off housing. And
that's right.
When our economy is tied to housing, we need more housing. That's how it works. If our economy was based on building cars and manufacturing cars and shipping cars, then automotive would be the most thing you would see, and the most export, and the more important thing, right? But because our economy is built off student loans, unsecured debt, secured debt, mortgages, and housing, there's no other way. There's no other way the economy would function if it wasn't anything else, right? So.
Well, I mean, that's sort of the way that it has been done, but that's what I'm saying is wrong with it, and it's an inflated and speculative thing. It's not a real market. It's based on. It's like it's
an inflated market. It's not real. And when I keep talking to people, saying, I could buy because I lived in Miami for 5 years, right? And when I moved from Miami to Vancouver, I couldn't believe the cost of living, the difference. The average house in Miami is like $180,000, $250,000 for a 3-bedroom house, right? Yeah. And then when I got to Vancouver 10 years ago, the average house was $750,000.
Yeah, easily.
And I couldn't believe it. And then a lot of people were leaving Vancouver and selling. A lot of the older people were moving to Arizona and buying homes free and clear and putting a couple of $100,000 in the bank account. And that was 10 years ago.
Sure.
And
absolutely. And people that, I really feel for especially the people that have been buying in the last few years, because I think that, they stand to lose the most, but it has to happen. And but I think about the people that don't. They give the excuse to the government. Look, they don't want to sort of take the valuation away from those people that have been buying. Well, I say, you know what? If they want to have children, first of all, they're living under that stress. So bankrupt. Start over, in my opinion. But if they want to have children, what are they going to do? How are they going to provide for their kids? How are those kids going to live? And like you say, be able to have a home and have some security. I know how it feels right now. I'm anxious all the time because I'm insecure about my housing, and I've just had to kind of suck that up and just realize that's going to be a thing that's not going to go away for a while. But I would never have kids myself in this market, or I'd leave just like you did, and that would be it. And that is not a community made, And we need to have diversity in ages and age groups, especially. To keep tax flows consistent and to keep stability, and that this is set up to fail, and it's going to fail.
I get what you're saying. It's a Ponzi scheme. It's built off fake money. The lending practices of the bank are horrible. The lenders are fitting customers into products that they don't need. And a lot of the Canadian proper that pay taxes and send their kids to school are going to suffer the most when this crashes.
Yeah.
They're going to be in a lot of trouble when this crashes. They're going to be in a heap of trouble when this crashes, because they're the ones that bought in and took the financing, right?
Yeah, for sure. I know, and you know what? That's going to be a bailout, and that's to me, this is a type of basically corporate welfare is what it turns into, because the government's going to have to bail that out, and they've a few select people have made some money, and we know that there's corruption investigations going on here, and the system's been abused, and very purposefully and knowledgeably, I believe. Mm-hmm. But that's it. There's very few people involved in that. If you look at the, perceptually wise, you look at the whole population, they're going to benefit, and everybody else, can just, suffer the consequences, and that's going to be a taxpayer thing too, right? Mm-hmm. So we have kind of developed 3 sort of ideals under our umbrella, and that's we want to push the politicians. With the budget's coming, we're very specifically scrambling to get this rally together before the budget, because we know that's about supply. Budget is about supply. They're spending money on supply, and that is more, again, along that line of corporate welfare, in my opinion. But it's the supply. So our umbrella has three sections to it. There's housing out of affordability, and that would be, fill vacant homes. We have 65,000 vacant homes in Metro Vancouver alone that are owned by offshore owners, whether they be individuals or corporations. But there's 60,000. That's in 2016.
Well, multiply that by 3. Multiply that by 3, and that's how many people are out of a house.
Yeah, that's right. So the vacant homes need to be dealt with, and that will have a very automatic effect on affordability, because of the competition is taken away, and people are going to be scrambling to get people in. And the other thing is, the city of Vancouver has their own charter, and they've been given the powers to be able to tax on those vacant homes, but the rest of British Columbia does not have that option. So we would like to very much see that be implemented and an equal playing field, because what happens now is things get worse outside of Vancouver, and that's the only place that people had to go, and it's going to be a mass exodus, as already has been out of Vancouver, and it's just going to keep going, without having some of those laws changed in place, it's a situation for people to stay in British Columbia, and we need people to stay in British Columbia. You know, as you say, you said playground for the rich and not famous, and I know exactly what you mean. But that's just not cool. we need to have our awesome Vancouverites here and our British Columbians to stay in place. So,
what's going to happen? In my opinion, a lot of people have left. It's not just Vancouver. It was London has been facing a mass exodus.
Yeah.
London, a lot of millennials, a lot of youth have been leaving London, going into the inlands, and it's causing this effect where the mid London, or not mid London, sorry, Middle England, they call it Middle England, is the prices in Middle England are skyrocketing now because all the youth from London have moved to Middle England, and the prices are going up high, fast, just like it's happening in the Okanagan. Now, prices are going up. There's a huge exodus in Sydney, Melbourne, and it touches on an article I was going to read later here about basically where is it? Yeah, key workers shut out of Sydney report. So basically, in Sydney, the police officers, the nurses, the doctor, people of importance that keep the infrastructure going can't afford to live in their own city, so they're leaving. And that's become a major problem in Sydney and Melbourne, where the housing crisis is actually a lot worse than we have it in Vancouver, believe it or not.
Well, I'll tell you from my own experience. I mean, I work as a nurse. I work in the ER, and we are massively short. We're about 2,300 nurses short in British Columbia right now, and we can't buy a nurse. The life of us, to get, especially our emergency departments, they're really under staffed right now, and that is a scary thing with our aging population, and and everything for the sick people that need them. And then there's the doctor thing. So we're short doctors. If you want to talk wait lists, the yin yang, you got to understand we don't have the doctors to make those lists go down. Mm-hmm. And that we are headhunting all over the planet, and nobody wants to come here because what do we have to offer them? I mean, they can come here and
go into debt.
I think, but you can't live on it. It's not a decent place to live on. So unfortunately, that is the case, and we have people actually. I know nurses that are taking off to go travel nursing, just anything, because they can't plant roots. So why should they stay?
Mm-hmm. It makes perfect exactly. I don't know if you saw the video. I did a video about a week and a half ago about a nurse who's leaving Vancouver, and she came to visit me at my shop in Merritt, and she was on her way to Kamloops to say goodbye to family. I'm like, "Were you moving to Kamloops?" She's like, "No, she's moving to Ocala, Florida." And she was offered a job and 1 year's living wages, like a place for her to live. And if she was to find her own house, they would give her the wage allowance difference.
Yeah.
And the average house in Ocala is like $200,000, like a big house, 3-bedroom with a pool.
I was looking. I used to kind of dream about, like, when I was in nursing school. I used to, take the odd vacation or whatever to Hawaii because it's close by. It doesn't take a lot of time, and talk to nurses there, and they make about $20 more an hour than I do now, and I've been in it for a bit, and that's U.S. dollars. But I thought, the cost of living, quite a few percentages higher. Probably now I look at that, and I can go and work there, right, with my license, and I think that sounds kind of nice, right? So it's really tempting. But there's something about I don't want to abandon people either. But one day, if that may change, like if I get evicted from my home, that might change, and I might just pick up and move to Hawaii.
Oh, Hawaii!
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so the comment section in the channel. Sorry, my son's beside me. He got into the room, but it's okay. He's just playing with his Legos here, and that's why I moved out here. It's because of family. But.
Tell him to start building you a house right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah. But I got here people commenting here, a couple of rude comments coming my way. Then I got somebody here called 10-minute increments, and he's saying mass exodus from Illinois, Chicago. So apparently this person that's watching is basically saying that Chicago, Illinois is having this problem too.
Is that right, eh?
Yeah, and there's a lot of major cities that people are leaving. I know Boston, Massachusetts, a lot of people are leaving Boston right now and heading south to Attleboro and to Seekonk and to Rhode Island because they can't afford to live in Boston anymore. So anyways, like I was saying earlier, is that this is a global effect that's affecting all English-speaking countries. A lot of countries that have a free market, basically, free markets were designed for people to come in, invest in companies, invest in stocks, invest in, just open up companies, right? But what happened with our free market is people took advantage of us and started just buying up our real estate left and right.
Sure.
And Seattle's having this problem right now. I have an article here that Seattle's housing market just kicked off this year. It's going to be the all-time high. And I think it's going to be a spectacle to see what happens in Seattle and Portland, Oregon. Because right now, they haven't put any implements like foreign buyers tax. Did you see what happened in New Zealand? They put in a new law as of January 1st that no foreigners could buy housing there.
Yeah, that's terrific. I support that. We support that as a group. We support a few things. We've got to stop this bleed that's happening here now, and we need to put some security back in people in their lives. And we need to breathe, and we can revisit those laws later. But for now, I think that needs to stop. I think that the licenses need to stop going out for the demolitions and the renovictions, and even even in some ways, some of the supply stuff, yes, we want it, but it's not going to help us now, right? And that's tax money that's going into things that, are way down the road. So this is where we have, yes, we want to see money from the budget go into some supply, but we need people, we need things now, like right away, that needs to change. That New Zealand, I think, is bold. I think that, other places are also trying to get on top of some things. I forget. I think even Hong Kong has things going. Like Mexico, I know has they prohibited offshore ownership of certain areas, like within 50 kilometers of the coast or 100 kilometers of international borders. Hong Kong has got laws they put in place in 2010, and that is the non-residents pay tax. It starts at 1.5% at $2 million properties, or that's about 300,000 Canadian, and up to 8.5%. Anything worth anything after that, up until 3.3 million Canadian. So Switzerland always had strict rules regarding housing and offshore money. So they have what is it called? It's a French word. They have a canton. That's a township, sorry. Okay. The quotas requiring approval before being sold to foreign owners. If approved, you can use it as a personal residence only. So forget your dreams kind of thing of being a landlord. You have to live there. And that's what we stand behind that too.
Well, did you, last week in Trends in the Housing Market, I brought up a very important article where a majority of foreign money that came to Canada, like a huge percentage, came through Quebec. So they go through the Montreal thing, they lend the Quebec government $700,000, and they get it back in, I think, 3 or 4 years. They get the money back, and they go back to other parts of Canada and then spend it.
Whatever they want.
Yeah.
And that's really, 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 I mean, I've got a French word for that, what it did to the rest of Canada, So that needs to be addressed too, and that's a sensitive one that has to be done federally. But you know what, it's a federal election year coming up here too. So I think that's one of those things that we need to go after the federal government on, And
oh, because the Quebec government made a killing off that.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And that was amazing. I mean, like, wow. So when I hear things like that, I kind of wish Quebec broke off Canada a long time ago, right?
You know what? I never felt that way until that started. It became apparent as one of the major contributors to our situation now. I think I remember at that vote, and of course I was too young then to vote, but I remember being heartbroken, thinking they would leave, and now I'm thinking, why did we let them go?
Yeah.
I love Quebec and everything, but boy, that rule has really messed with us. So it's unfortunate.
And it's been sad. It's very sad. I've been covering this housing for about 7 years now. 6 years actually this March, and I've been discussing, the amount of people don't even know. They can't even comprehend, or they can't even fathom how bought out the next two generations are.
Truly.
The next two generations are entirely bought out. There's no way that my son, who is 3 years old, his kids could afford to buy ever, without even them being born. There's no way for them to even catch up. And that's how bad it is. And it is a very exciting time to be alive, to see what's happening and how these things are coming together. It's phenomenal how we're at this position right now. So, what are you guys going to be talking about? So, you said you got some speakers there at the Rally for Affordable Housing Action in Vancouver. So, let me just do a quick plug here, okay? Guys, don't forget, February 18th, Rally for Affordable Housing Action, Sunday, February 18th, 2 to 5 p.m. at Jack Pooley Plaza. Don't forget to join. So far on the Facebook page, there's 109 going. Let me refresh that and see if that went up. So far on the page, there's about 109 going. Oh, 112 now since we started the show, and 571 that are interested in going.
Right on.
Yeah, don't forget to check it out. See what the...
Sorry, we have we haven't actually we've had a ton of media requests, so we haven't started that promotion yet, but I do think it's going to explode. And we haven't really sought out any media, but they've sought us out from CBC, from Global CTV, CKNW. The Jack McComb Show is going to do an interview with us next Friday. BC Newswire, St. Paul, they've published a few things online. So this is gonna I think take off. I think the timing's really good for this.
That's good. That's really good. I'm really happy to see that there's some sort of... Unfortunately, this should have happened 5 years ago. But,
sorry about that.
No, you don't have to be sorry about that. You can't be sorry about something you can't predict, right? But I've been forecasting and the trend in the housing market, and I knew this was destined for absolute disaster. I've been begging people to listen to me, but no one gave any interest. Well, a lot of people did. I have quite a few followers here on YouTube. Not that much, but I get a lot of views, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, anyways, I got a shout-out going for Mikey Rides It up in northern BC, who is watching the show, and he's saying, I feel for anyone in Vancouver trying to start a family. Seems just impossible. My advice is get out. There is a life outside Vancouver. The Okanagan is getting out of reach as well. That's what you said at the beginning of the show, if you remember our conversation. You mentioned that yourself, right?
Yes.
So,
I thought of that as my backup plan, to be frank, because I love to ski and I love the warm weather in the summer. But that's kind of off the table now.
Mm-hmm. And it's really sad. I can't say any other words to describe it. It's just sad. It's sad.
It's heartbreaking. It's crushing dreams. It's your hopes that when you as you grow, when you're a child and you look forward. I think there's been any generation of people, in Canada look forward to growing up and setting roots and building a home and a family. And now all of that is really so uncertain for most people. And for the people that did build a family, they're housing insecure too if they don't own already. And now it's like, what do you do with your family if you lose your home? And that's what we're seeing. So it doesn't just happen to people that are, coming from other stressors that end up homeless. It's happening to everybody, and the elderly. Don't even get me started on the elderly, because they've lived their whole lives here, and then happens they can't afford their new taxes because they're on fixed income or and then they become homeless, and it's dreadful. We have people our healthcare system is absorbing this too, because we have people living in hospital with nowhere to discharge to, living in hospital, and it's $1,000 a night.
Yeah, and the sad part about the elderly that really broke my heart in some of the articles I've been reading, a lot of people, and especially in California, a lot of people have been living in their vehicles, and I'm talking thousands of people are living in their vehicles now. And
it's been in the focus here in the news quite a bit in the last week. There's a group of RVs that are at a railway station. Mm-hmm. And actually, I'm going to have a chat with them, but I haven't had time to go there yet. But they, that's kind of almost become my backup plan too. It's like, you know what, I just, if I want to where I am, it's either Hawaii or I stay here and I buy like a fifth wheel and go rent a pad somewhere and just, but with 2 dogs, it's going to be a bit of a challenge.
Well, why don't you go off grid? Maybe go up north somewhere and just go off grid, buy a piece of land, and that's it.
You know what? I've thought about that too. That's kind of in the back of my head. I just want to have I like having a bit of space to move around, and I have a nice yard now, so it's kind of stuck with when they'll come. I'm sure that I'll have to give it up, but maybe we can crash the market by then.
Yes. There's people in the comment section are saying who is on the air, who is the caller. So can you introduce yourself one more time?
Hi, everybody. My name is Christina Gower. I am coordinating the Affordability Action Hub and our rally that's coming up on the 18th. And I am working with a group of really great people that have been personally invested in this as well. And just want to see some change. And of course, it benefits us. But we have no ulterior motives. We're not politicians. We're just people that are in the same boat as everybody else and are tired of it. And we want to throw down and come up on it.
That's good. That's good to know. So, where do you see, I mean, if there isn't a correction, okay, where do you see BC in the next, never mind 5 years, where do you see BC in the next year? Vancouver. Where do you see Vancouver in the next year?
Well, if there's no correction, like immediate and instant, there probably won't be. I see a similar trend. I think a lot of people will be leaving. I think, mostly that's the biggest thing. I see some other sort of potential semi-solutions as far as investment in the budget goes, with supply to sort of ease things, but it's going to take time, and that would be like a progressive housing market for everybody, where you can start out in a, depending where you're starting, like if you're homeless, maybe modular home for now, but, if you're wanting, like maybe a purchasing plan where you can start out in a co-op, right, and the government makes a deal where you can save some of your monthly fees as down payment fund and start gathering money for a down payment, and then they have other options for actual affordable housing to buy into to get out of the co-op. That's the kind of sort of planning that I would be doing if I was in government, and that's the kind of thing that I'm putting together as recommendations. But it will take time, and it's going to happen in a year, I don't think, to get started. But definitely more cooperative, more collective housing, more shared home spaces. I myself have rooms I rent out here because even the rent, it's low rent for where we are, but it's still hard for me because I graduated from nursing quite late in life and ended up with a whack of student loans, which is another on top of what happens here. And I just, in 1 year's time, I mean, I don't know. That's about all I can think of. I'm positive, but it's not. I don't think it's gonna. It didn't happen overnight. It kind of feels like it, but I think it's going to take a measurable time, probably about an equal amount of time for it to ease up to. I think probably another 5-6 years before we see the benefits of anything that's done as far as investment goes. With one good thing, I mean, the Charter of Vancouver, they have, because they have that, they're going to collect. Arguably, if you say there's 21,000 homes that haven't declared their empty tax or their empty home yet, that's who's going to pay. So there's 21,000 people. Imagine their homes are each worth $1.5 million, which is probably higher than that. But take that; that's $315 million in taxes that the city's going to collect. And this is the thing: is that we don't. I see that they're collecting taxes, but I don't see any language whatsoever of where they have to spend those taxes. There's no law that says
there's no transparency of where it's going.
Exactly. So what does that do? I mean, that makes a rich city, but what are they doing with that money? Are they going to, But there is an opportunity there, right? And where you can invest that into social housing. Vancouver alone has a $3.2 billion property endowment fund they're sitting on that nobody really knows about.
Mm-hmm.
I cagey about the details on what happens with that already. That was, I uncovered that about a year and a half ago at that amount. I don't know what it's worth now, but I kind of found it in some other research I was doing, and there is opportunity to make some changes to the good, but we need to make the changes at an equal playing field, like I say, across the country. If we have half a brain running the show, which I'm not sure we do fun, but we got to get up to speed and start protecting our own people instead of just a few people that are getting paid in Greece, as far as I'm concerned.
So, I'm just checking out the comments here in the comments section. Someone's commented and someone brought up a very good point. It said, where is it? He brought up a really good point. A very good point. Where'd it go? Basically, it's from 1488. He's commenting here. Basically, if you want to see families grow and stuff, housing crash. When the housing crashes, you'll see a lot of people starting families, and everything will start over, basically. And that's.
If you look at the economic crisis in the United States, you could buy homes there, like beautiful colonial homes that I would be thrilled to live in, like the type that you see in sort of Point Grey, like the older ones, but it's just beautifully done for, $30,000, $40,000. If that happens here, okay, fantastic. I'll be the first in line to buy something.
Hold on a second. Can you hold on 1 second? I'm just getting my son here something.
No problem. It's very boy.
Rose, I'm live. It's talking. Rose. Sorry, my son is just nonstop asking for things while I'm on here. And sorry about that. What were you saying?
I was just saying that the pricing in the United States right now...
Oh, yes. Let me weigh in on that. We go to Las Cruces, parts of New Mexico, like colonial-style homes down there. You could pick up something for $225, a nice home, and have a decent wage if you're a nurse. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I could do that now, and that's something I'd consider, but not right now. I'm not ready to jump ship right now. I still have a little bit of hope. Otherwise, I wouldn't be out here pounding the pavement and trying to make some change with this rally. I think I've learned a thing or two. I'm a co-chair of another coalition for a healthy riverview. We pounded the pavement to get promises to retain those lands for mental health last year before the election. We got those promises. We're still kind of holding our breath here and making sure that happens, but it looks like it is. So you can make some change if you band together and do a good job of working the system as far as you can, especially with social media on board. You can create a good campaign, and you can kind of pigeonhole the politicians into actually promising things, and then you can try and hold them to it.
Mm-hmm.
That is what we do. We've made it uncomfortable for a few people out there. I want to honestly, I have to mention our housing minister, Selena Robinson. She's been taking a lot of flack, and I don't think it's really fair. She's more in the social housing sort of purview. I think what we really need to target is our Carol James and of course David Eby, the Laws, John Horgan as their leader, and we need those three to come together, and we're going to hear what they have to say with the budget coming out. But this isn't all about budget. This is about changing laws, mainly from our point of view, and some wording like I'm sick of hearing affordable housing. Okay, what is affordable? Let us make a legal definition of what is affordable, and we would like to push for 25% of your income. So, and I know that, people say, 30% is kind of thrown around. Well, I say we start low, right, and work our way up to that if we have to. But I think that 25% of your income is fair. And so I cannot call anything that the government puts out on the table or has put out on the table so far, any government that we've had, as affordable housing. It's not affordable housing. It's less, lower than market value, inflated value. And it's not even real.
Oh, it's super inflated. It's not real. It's a Ponzi scheme. It's been happening for years now. A lot of offshore people want to park their money, and they're scared of their government taking their money out of their bank accounts. That's what I've been told by some people. And they want to park it somewhere. Where do they park it? In real estate. 20 years ago, a lot of people would open a nail salon and then layer their money through, like they would money launder it through. But now it's easier just to buy real estate because our laws are so lax and so easy to get by that are people coming into our casinos with hockey bags full of cash, changing them into chips and then cashing them back out later into clean money.
Yep. It's unbelievable, the amount of money that has gone through. I forget the number. Do you remember the number?
I don't even. You know what? It's the amount that I know. The amount that they've caught in airports was I think just under a couple of $100 million, several $100 million they've caught at airports.
Wow.
Coming in, yeah. Yeah.
And where does that money go, I wonder? That's the other thing. We want to see a crackdown, and we want to see some seizures. We want assets taken, and we want them given. I think that should be written into law too. You seize an asset, okay, pay off the legal bills for seizing that asset and the prosecution, but then anything left over should be going right into affordable housing as defined by 25% of your income.
So, 1488 brought up a comment I want to read. It says, I do feel bad for the innocent immigrants who have come to Canada with good intentions, but the truth is rich exploit immigrants, and everyone in the world just want to be here basically to take advantage of the country is what he's saying. And because
sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying what happened to my dad came to Canada with a bag on his shoulders and 10 cents in his pocket, and he worked his way up, bought his first house, paid it off, and sent us to school. We took vacations every 6 months, and we had a cottage and a boat. What happened to that?
Well, that's long gone, and we are very cautious about our language. We don't even like to say foreign, because it does have a connotation to it. That it's us and them, and it's not. It's a legal thing. It's a government thing. It's a disgrace. We've been abused. We've been corrupted at that level, and it's been allowed, and it's by probably mostly white men.
Mm-hmm.
Say it, but for the most part, that's who's been running the government. We don't even we try and use the words offshore or global capital, that kind of thing, because we're sensitive to that. But if to anybody that is blaming immigrants or what have you, I just ask them to wonder, how about our First Nation? What do you think they feel about this? I mean, I can imagine if I was First Nation origin, I would sit back and go, see, now you know what we're talking about, because really we are being taken advantage of in a almost a similar way. So it's just. I think it's a real harsh lesson, but it's something that at least we can get out of it as a bit of a learning, right?
I see your point of view when you're coming from.
Yeah.
So this rally, it's going to be Saturday, February 18th at 2 p.m. To 5 p.m. at Jack Pooley Plaza, 1085 Canada Place, Vancouver, British Columbia. Get on the Facebook page. I left the link below in the comments section if you guys want to join. Want to join in on this and see where it's going to go or what's going to happen, and maybe contribute a voice, because this would be I think it's a really good thing. I do stand behind this because people need to there was a demonstration last year, wasn't there, in Vancouver?
I think that I know that there was something done by HALT, and they are partnered with us. I think they had about 300 people out for theirs. I know Pets OK BC had something even more recent. I wasn't able to go to either one of those, but now we're all together and we're all going.
I get, yeah. Because I saw a couple of rallies last year, and a couple of rallies the year before, and over on Robson Street.
Yep.
And what else was there? I can't remember, but there was a couple of rallies going on where people. So basically, if these individual groups could unite under one umbrella and actually unify and share information and network and get everybody, you could have a good follow. You could have a good showing of anywhere from 6,000 to 12,000 people.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we do. It's a little scary when it gets that big and you're trying to be an organizer, but you know what? It's going to be a fun day. We're going to have family-friendly face painting for kids. We're going to have music. It's going to be a good time, but we really want to be heard, and we want to get our messages across to the government that they do need to do more than make developers more money by adding supply. I mean, it's just kind of sickening to think that is possibly. I mean, possibly, because we don't know everything yet, but we don't want that to be the only solution. The real solutions lie in our legal system and in the abuses that have caused all of this to happen in the first place.
Okay. Well, that's really good to know. Anyways, I just wanted to do a quick plug out there for what's his name, Jeremy, who's watching this in London, England. I want to thank him for taking the time to watch my channel, and he says he can't catch it because it's early in the morning in England, so he watches it at work, and he works as a property appraiser in London. So yeah, there's people watching this show from everywhere. I get feedback from everywhere. This housing crisis is affecting every country with a free market. It's tough, and you know, there's countries I've been to where I did want to buy a house, and I was shot down because I was considered a foreigner. You know, I have been in countries where I wanted to buy a retirement or like a vacation home. And I was shut down because I wasn't of the nationality of the country.
Yeah, that's right. And it seems kind of like that. I mean, that didn't happen to me. I actually did some nursing in Africa, and I was in Liberia, and it just came up in conversation that you can't own property there if you don't live there. And the concept had never even occurred to me. This is several years back. Never occurred to me, but I kind of thought, kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I'm like, I guess I'm a kind of a free world kind of thinker, but now things have changed, and my thinking has changed, and I support people in that in other countries, and that I get it, but this is, you do have to protect your own people and run your country, and yes, you can still be on the global market for trade and those kinds of things, but this is not, housing is not a commodity, it's a necessity of life, and that's a whole different ballgame.
Well, housing has become a commodity now. It's no more an asset. It's a commodity now. It's being traded like oil. It's being traded like everything else. And that's what happens when you start playing with people's lives. And do you remember what I put up what I was discussing the other day about why our housing market hasn't crashed? Why it hasn't crashed overnight? Do you know why? And I'm going to reassure listeners that are listening to this to take this, because I get the same question I get the same 10 questions every day. Why hasn't the housing market crashed? The reason why the housing market hasn't crashed is because markets crash within hours and days, like we saw the stock market crash the other day. But economies take months, if not years, to sink. Because our housing market is tied to our economy, it's going to be very hard to sink it. And a lot of people don't think that. A lot of people don't think. They think it's a market. We're not in a housing market anymore. We're in a housing economy. And it's very hard for it to go down, that we're so heavily dependent on it for our economy.
Yeah. I'm just catching some of these comments online about race. I'm not sure if I was misinterpreted there or not, but I'm certainly not complaining about other races, and not even necessarily about, I think somebody is quite upset that I mentioned white men there. The truth is that the government has been mainly run by white men, and historically and in the past, and things have been changing recently, but it's not about being against them for that. It's about unfortunately, not being inclusive for everybody, having the laws and controlled by one person, and one sort of race and gender, and seeing the effects on everybody, and then racism around us being directed to the offshore countries that are purchasing stuff here. That's where I'm trying to bring the dissonance around that. It's not about the offshore people, and we don't want to focus on that. It's about the offshore money and the people that have laid those laws that have allowed the misuse, basically. It's like, it's not even misused by the people buying. It's an opportunity. They're being opportunists with their money, and they need somewhere safe to put it. And
yeah, they need, like I said like 7-8 shows ago, if I was in China and I was a multimillionaire, I would be scared to keep my money in that country if... Yeah. Seeing what's happening, I would want to park my money somewhere else. I see everything as a third, I see it from a different point of view. You know what I'm saying? I'm not just talking and pointing the finger. You're after the same thing I'm after. We need to shut down and make corrections and actually back up our laws that are put in place, and not just give laws to some people and a lot of laws to others. You know what I'm saying? It's got to be fair. If people come in with a hockey bag full of money, they need to be questioned why they're bringing this money in.
Yeah, well, they're bringing it in because they can. And that's the problem, right? So,
yeah.
So the problem's at a government level, it's at a legal level, and it just needs to be, that's where it needs to be sorted out there.
Yeah. So, anyways, I wanted to, so I pretty much... anyways, a lot of people are getting upset in the comments section, back and forth. There's a lot of people complaining in the comments section about just different things and their own opinions, right? And everyone's entitled to their own opinion, right?
Oh, and that's fine. I think it's just really important for us to stress that this is not about races. This is not about immigration. It's not about foreigners. It's not about well, it is about investment, but it's not about being exclusive. It's about putting housing basically back as a measure of security, a social right, and not a commodity, and closing those loopholes that have been put in place by our own government that we chose by voting or not voting.
Anyways, well, I want to thank you so much for coming onto the show. We spent an hour together, and I got some articles I need to cover from other parts of the English-speaking world. So, guys, don't forget to join the Rally for Affordable Housing Action February 18th, Sunday, February 18th, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. at Jack Pooley Plaza, 1085 Canada Place, Vancouver, British Columbia. So, thank you for coming on.
Hey, no problem.
Good luck at the rally.
Thanks. We'll have fun.
Okay. Anyways, guys, that was our guest there for the Rally for Affordable Housing Action. She called in, and she mentioned something about white men being in power and stuff. A lot of people need to understand that we are an Anglo-American empire. We are a British empire. So a majority of the people that would be in power would be Anglo-Canadian that are in power, because that's just how it is. You go to Jamaican Parliament, everyone's Jamaican, and a majority of the people are Jamaican, right? You go down to other places, it's just how it is, right? So people are forgetting that Canada as a whole is an Anglo-American, Anglo-British American empire. It's like, it's what it is, right? You go to Antigua, you go to other countries. A lot of people voted in are people basically that are from their, their own culture, right? From where they are, right? So, everyone's going on in the comments section, guys. Come on, let's just keep it PG, guys. And people are talking about this and this and that. No, it's just like I said. We are in an Anglo-American empire, British empire. The reason why is because we were found. You go to Brazil, everybody speaks Portuguese. Everybody is of the same, It's just how it is in different countries. You know what I'm saying? People keep forgetting that, right? And anyways, everybody's commenting here in the comment section. Eddie Franco just signed on. Everyone's signing on. And let's continue with the show today, guys. Lots going on here. I want to do a quick shout out to my man Mario DeCettis, the Lost Canuck. He's hitting on pensions. And pensions are what's being hit on. Oh my God. Pensions are what is being hit on. And he's been right 100% for what, 2 years now he's been on YouTube. He has been talking about how our pensions are disappearing because they're paying off bad debt. Who's going to clean up this mess? Who's going to fix this? Who's going to come together and actually fix this problem? Are we going to lose our pensions? Do we have a pension in the next 20, 30 years? Hey, I'm 40. In 25, I'll be 65. Am I going to have a pension? And, anyways, let's move on after Mary DeSettis. What is happening here in the Financial Post? We just got the first real picture of the Toronto housing market, and it's ugly! Sales plunge 22%. Weakest January since 2009. Wow, he's got a bear. Look, Antonio's here. He's got a bear.
Tommy begins with T here.
Fecha a porta. Fecha a porta. Yeah, I talked to my son in Portuguese. He speaks English, Portuguese, and Tagalog. He's trilingual. Anyways, sales plunged 22%, weakest January since 2009 in Toronto. So if you're living in Toronto, people waiting on the sidelines could breathe a sigh of relief. You know, people could breathe a sigh of relief. Anyways, people are commenting. Someone's asking me how many countries are in the Commonwealth. That is a discussion for another time. It's not as big as people think it is. It never was. It's a good argument. It's a really good argument we could get into. I'll do that on my Rants and Lifestyle. A lot of people commenting here about that. Woo! Comment section's on fire, people. So it's early Thursday morning for most people watching the show. I want to thank my friend Zach in Melbourne, Australia, who's watching us right now on his way to work. Okay, so let's go here. Toronto's home sales tumbled for the first month of 2018. A tougher mortgage qualification rules came into play and borrowing costs rose. Sales in Canada, biggest city, fell 22%. Of 4,019 units from the year earlier, according to data released Tuesday by Toronto Real Estate Board. It was the weakest month of sales in January since 2009. The average price of homes sold in Toronto was $736,000, down 4.1% from January 2017, though little change from December. So the price of housing in Toronto isn't $1.4 million anymore. Okay. Yep. Everyone is getting mad at me. Guys, please don't get mad at me. I'm just pumped up right now, you know. I'm trying to put a good show together. You guys know I'm not educated. You guys know I could barely read. I'm just trying to get a platform for us to talk. That's all I'm trying to do. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to... A lot of people were telling me this the other day, like, Mike, why are you worried about the housing crisis if you own your own home? What do you worry about? I worry about my kids. That's what I worry about. I couldn't give a rat's, whatever you want to call it, about myself anymore. I care about my kids. And that's what I'm worried about. And Buddy is saying 70 countries in the Commonwealth. Anyways... We'll talk about that another day. Commonwealth is World Bank is what it is. They shut out all the other... I'm not going to get into colonization right now. I'm Portuguese. I have a different point of view on what the English were up to. Now, this is a very important article, people. I need to read this to you guys. Key workers shut out of Sydney. Remember... 5 months ago, when Delusional Mike was talking about how nurses, doctors, lawyers, garbage men, post office workers, we could keep going, DMV workers, all these people are kind of teed off and upset because they have to drive 2 hours to get into work. Do you guys remember that? Well, Sydney's nurses, teachers, and emergency service workers can't afford to live in the city, with the closest affordable towns 100 kilometers away. Closest affordable town, 100 kilometers. That's like 75 miles away. To go into work one side. That's one side. And then you gotta go 100 kilometers back. Anyways, let's keep going here. New South Wales. Staggeringly high house prices are forcing teachers, nurses, police, and emergency workers to abandon Sydney, with many struggling even to pay rent in the city, new report has found. This is not a new report. I've been talking about this. I brought this up 3 years ago. Okay? When I had a contest on my channel that I was going to give away, I think it was a $50 Visa card. This is before. I gave away a $50 Visa card for the person that could comment the furthest that they drive into work. Like the furthest distance that they drove. And it was a guy from outside of, if I remember right, he would drive into San Francisco, Bay Area, and he'd come by train every day. And he'd take an hour to 2 hours a day by train to arrive, and an hour to 2 hours to get home every day. So that was one of the winners there last time, a few years back. This was 3 years ago. So someone's Mikey Rides It is commenting, like you said about the playground for the rich. If markets don't collapse, these places will have to fly in and fly out of their basic services personnel, doctors, nurses, ambulance workers, police, etc. Exactly. And that's what the problem is right now, because what's been happening is key workers can't afford to buy home, and it goes back to this article that I'm reading, sorry for radio listeners. Key workers can't afford to buy home in Sydney and inner city suburbs, while a nurse with 5 years experience earns about $57,000 large, can only afford to buy a home in Cessnock, about 100 kilometers from Sydney. The key worker housing affordability report found. Look at this. Many teachers even struggling to afford a suitable rental property in Sydney, New South Wales. Teachers Federation General Secretary John Dixon says. Teachers share housing in substandard properties or leaving the city. Bye, Antonio. Adeus. It's my son coming in and out to pay a visit to me. Meaning schools affluent, east and north, soon struggle to fill critical casual temporary positions, he warned. Many teachers are just leaving the cupboards, Ms. Dixon told the AAP Monday, the report. So this is what's happening. It's a long article. I urge you guys to read it. It's called The Key Workers Shut Out of City Report. Why are you going to read this if you're not living in Australia? Because it's going to come to a city near you. This will be coming to a city near you. Oh. Let's close this article off and move on. Supply shortage in Toronto. Vancouver left house prices nowhere to go up. Wow. Home construction in Toronto, Vancouver failed to keep pace with surging demand between 2010 and 2016, leaving the prices nowhere but to go up, according to the report from Canada's Federal Housing Agency. So here we're talking about prices going down, and here they're saying they're going up. Home prices soared 40% in Toronto over the period, examined by 48% in Vancouver, while conventional economic factors such as population growth. What population growth? No one's having kids. What population growth? Everyone I've talked to, no one has kids. Everybody my age, I'm 40, okay? A majority of people in Vancouver that I know that are my age, they can't afford to have kids. They're not having kids. So what population growth? Migration to cities and low mortgage rates. What migration to cities? Everyone's leaving. I'm going to move on from this article before I have a heart attack. Gap between housing supply and demand largest and Vancouver, CMHC. Back again. Toronto and Vancouver's real estate market have responded to surging prices and growing demand for homes and supply of the new housing that is significantly weaker than the Canadian metropolitan areas. Data gaps from developing full picture of why Montreal, Calgary, and Edmonton don't have as big of inconsistencies between supply and demand as Toronto and Vancouver do, but CMHC's Deputy Chief Economist Aleb Lebworth said that he noticed that Calgary and Edmonton responding to demand with horizontal sprawl. Can I tell you guys why I think? Because I don't know nothing. Why Montreal, Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg, and cities like that don't have a demand issue because there's no empty houses in those cities. There's empty houses, but they're abandoned because people are leaving those cities. That's why. So when you find an empty house in Edmonton, it's not bought up by an investor. It's just abandoned. The same thing in Calgary. Same thing in Montreal. How many empty homes do you have in Montreal? None. Because everybody lives in them. Anyways. While Toronto and Vancouver showed large and the persistent increases in prices, there was only a modest price growth in Montreal. Of course there's a modest price growth because no one's buying out the market. What do you think what do you think is going to happen when you corner the market? When you control and corner the market, prices go up, and the people that can afford to be in the market leave the market. Everyone's commenting here. Let's move on. Another casualty of Metro Vancouver's brutal housing market, your health. Yep, you see these every day in the news now. This is a good article. It comes with a little audio there and a video. Stress tests. For McCormack, whatever. The hunt for housing, which eventually led her family moving. Oh yeah, this is the article about this family. It's a really good, it's very long, guys. This was sent to me. I just kind of want to share it out there for you guys to read it. It's a really good article. Another casualty of Metro Vancouver's brutal housing market, your health. Read it. It's from like a day ago. Oh, are you guys ready to party? Because we got a party going south of me, man. King County housing market kicks off 2018 even hotter than before. As Seattle breaks the price record. Seattle, who's been following me for the last couple of years when I told you what's been happening in Seattle? Seattle got so bad that it's been bought out. They've been flying in investors to come in and buy 20, 30 properties. They've been making brochures in multiple languages to get investors in to come in and buy whatever they can get their hands on. Wow. So this is it, people. This area, you are bought out. See the gray area? You cannot buy in that gray area anymore, people. And if you're elderly and can't afford to, basically, you're going to have to move out of this area. Because that's what's happening. The winter has historically been a calm time for the housing market, but the growing competition for a shrinking number of homes has made home shopping year-round task. King County real estate market finished 2017 with the priciest year in history, and 2018 is off to an even hotter start. Seattle right now is the second or third hottest property market in the U.S. The west coast of the whole west coast, from Vancouver, Canada, all the way to San Diego, United States, has been completely bought out. Single-family home prices across the country surged nearly 20% in January compared to the year prior, the biggest such annual increase in 2 years, according to monthly home sales data released Monday by Northwest Multiple Listing Services. And what happened was the people, basically, once Vancouver implemented that foreign buyer's tax, you had a rush of people move south to Seattle or to Washington State, and you had a bunch of investors go east to Toronto. And that's when Toronto started to take off. Instead of Toronto looking at the problem that's happened in Vancouver, Toronto could have prevented this housing crisis that's in today, but they didn't. So that's what happens. And home sales data, so let's see, Seattle's median price hit $757,000 U.S., the most, over surpassing the previous record last summer. The typical across East Side 938,000 was just a couple of $100 shy of a record set for the prior month. Looking for something cheaper? Unfortunately, there's more bad news. Condo prices surged 23%. Woo! So what's going to happen? It's going to be really exciting to see this because it's going to be... This is crazy. You know why? The people in Washington State, legislative people, were talking about putting foreign buyers tax in. Guess what they said? That's against our Constitution. We can't do that. It's going to be so good to see what's going to happen in America. I'm looking forward to see this. Look at this. All these massive jumps in all different parts. And we saw what's been happening in California for the last decade. California's been under a housing crisis and mass exodus. Everyone's leaving California. Everyone's commenting here. King County. Let's move on. Is there a ceiling for the housing market? Where is this? Portland, Oregon, just south of Seattle, the whole West Coast. The Register Guard. It's by the Register Guard. By many measures, 2017 was an eye-opener year in Lane County residential real estate. Fueled by long-running sellers market, the average median sales price of homes sold in the county last year set all-time records. Again, Portland, Oregon cities are struggling. Eugene, Salem, all of them. They are struggling. The average sales price of the 5,200 homes rose. Wow. Portland, Oregon is under a rude awakening, people. And my son's here to visit us once again. Home prices set records in 2017, but hot market raises questions about its upper limits. Portland, Oregon. New Zealand. What's happening? New Zealand's housing market is stuttering, but foreign investors abound. Key cities, including Christchurch, Taranagua, and Auckland, have seen their property markets slow down in recent months, and the number of owners selling houses at a loss of it's increasing. According to the data analysis CoreLogic recent pain and gain report of 0.1% of the apartments and 4.1% of houses in New Zealand were sold at a loss during last year's third quarter. So this is pretty bad, people. People are losing money in New Zealand. Oh my God. Well, it's happening. Remember, houses are not an asset anymore. They're commodities. Expect to lose money. You will lose money. Okay, guys? You will lose money. It's a commodity. It's going to go up. It's going to go down. Overall apartments, there's my daughter. And overall apartments experience a median loss of 25,000 New Zealand dollars, while houses dropped 18,000 New Zealand dollars. So people sitting on the sidelines in New Zealand have been watching their country be sold out to the highest bidder. And let's keep going. Sold out to the highest bidder. Ooh, what's happening in London with its mass exodus and no one buying? Sellers accept big discounts on top end London property. So, big discounts on London property. There's discounts of 10%, and I've heard of up to 40% discounts in London. So, there's people on the sidelines waiting to buy into London and the housing market there to actually buy a house and start a family. Oh my God! A lot of people talking here in the comments section. And the Irish, why is this, I'm okay, thanks. Irish housing prices set to fall without UK and EU deal. So the Ireland's been in a 6 to 8 month housing bull market. in Ireland, and it looks like housing prices might fall. And Aussie property boom may be over as Sydney prices fall. Again, Sydney's in this trouble right now. Analysis expert further declines as housing prices in largest city drop 2.1% in the last quarter. Come on, guys, that's pitiful. 2.1%. They got a full 30%. A fall of home prices in Australia's largest city has prompted speculation that the unthinkable has occurred and the property market boom is finally coming to an end. So people in Sydney could breathe a sigh of relief that housing is falling. But wait, let's move to this article. Melbourne's western suburb, the busiest as auction market kicks into action. Well, it was a completely different story on the other article. This one is saying it's backwards, saying that people are auctioning off properties. And guys, you know what? I've been online, I've been on air for an hour and a half, and my kids need a bit of attention. They want to play. They want to play with Daddy. Tina. It's my daughter. It's my daughter. My daughter with me here. And this is the main reason why I left the city, is because my daughter wouldn't be here if I, didn't settle down and buy my house. Yeah? Anyways, guys, I want to thank everyone for tuning into the show. And family is where it's at, guys. And people keep forgetting that. People are so wrapped up in the money that they forget that family, family is what matters, Your life changes. And I feel bad for all the people that are being bought out and can't afford to have kids. And, that's one thing that a lot of people will miss out on in life, is not having a parenthood, being parents in their life. And I'm grateful and honored to be a father. Anyways, guys, thanks for calling in, and thanks for everything. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and thanks for watching. Thank you, people.